The Great Pyramid of Giza, completed around 2560 BCE, towers as the last standing wonder of the ancient world. Originally 146.6 meters, which is about 481 feet, tall and made of about 2.3 million blocks, it weighs an estimated 6 million tons. More than 4,500 years later, the central question still stuns experts. How did ancient Egyptians build this colossal monument without iron tools, wheels, or cranes? Scholars suggest as many as 20,000 to 30,000 workers could have been mobilized for 2 decades. Some argue massive straight ramps, others propose spirals, counterweights, or ingenious levers. Yet, no theory perfectly explains how multi-ton stones were set with such surgical precision. The logistics remain unmatched. Even modern engineers admit replicating it under the same conditions would be nearly impossible. Adding to the intrigue, the pyramid is aligned almost perfectly to true north, off by just 0.05 degrees. Was this astronomical accuracy achieved with simple sighting tools, or did Egyptians possess knowledge far beyond their time? Stonehenge. On the Salisbury Plain in England, Stonehenge has stood for over 4,000 years. Its massive sarsen stones, some weighing up to 25 tons, and smaller bluestones transported from Wales, more than 150 miles away, form a mysterious circle aligned with the midsummer sunrise. But despite centuries of research, its true purpose remains unsolved. Archaeologists know construction took place in phases from 3000 BCE to 2000 BCE, but how Neolithic people moved such massive stones over hills and rivers without wheels is still fiercely debated. Theories range from wooden sledges and rollers to waterways and human hauling power. Every model leaves lingering doubts about the logistics behind this prehistoric marvel. The real mystery is why. Was Stonehenge a sacred burial ground, a temple for rituals, or an astronomical observatory marking solstices and eclipses? Each explanation fits part of the puzzle, but never the whole. What's certain is that Stonehenge wasn't random. It was deliberate, precise, and meant to endure, a monument whose meaning is still just out of reach. The Nazca Lines. Stretching across the Peruvian desert are the Nazca Lines, hundreds of enormous geoglyphs etched into the ground between 500 BCE and 500 CE. Some designs span more than 1,200 feet. A hummingbird, a monkey, a spider. Figures so massive they're only fully visible from the air. The mystery? Why ancient people created them, and how they were meant to be seen. Theories abound. Some scholars argue they marked ritual pathways for water ceremonies. Others suggest astronomical calendars aligning with solstices or constellations. More recently, researchers linked them to fertility rituals, offerings to deities in hopes of rain in one of the driest places on Earth. But no definitive explanation has stuck. What makes them more intriguing is their preservation. Thanks to Peru's arid climate, the lines have endured for nearly 2,000 years. New glyphs are still being discovered using drones and AI mapping. Yet, the real question remains. Were the Nazca drawings messages to the gods above, or were these lines earthly symbols meant for their own people? By the way, I'm gonna be posting a lot more interesting videos on the channel. I'll greatly appreciate it if you could show support by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Thank you. The Antikythera mechanism. Discovered in a shipwreck off Greece in 1901, the Antikythera mechanism stunned scholars. Dated to around 100 BCE, this corroded bronze device turned out to be an astonishingly complex computer made of at least 30 interlocking gears. It could track lunar phases, predict eclipses, and even model planetary positions with surprising accuracy. The mystery lies in how such advanced technology existed centuries before anything similar. Devices of this complexity wouldn't reappear until medieval astronomical clocks over 1,000 years later. Who built it, and how much knowledge has been lost to time? Scholars suspect links to the school of Archimedes or other Hellenistic mathematicians, but no definitive answer exists. CT scans revealed inscriptions suggesting multiple functions, including calculating Olympiad dates, but no one knows if this was a one-of-a-kind masterpiece or part of a wider tradition of lost Greek engineering. The Voynich manuscript. Housed at Yale University's Beinecke Library, the Voynich manuscript is one of history's strangest books. Carbon dated to the early 15th century, it contains over 240 pages of bizarre illustrations and text written in an unknown script. The alphabet doesn't match any known language, and no one has ever decoded it. The manuscript features strange plants that don't exist, astronomical charts with unfamiliar symbols, and diagrams of naked women bathing in elaborate plumbing-like structures. Was it a medical text, an alchemical manual, or an elaborate hoax? Codebreakers, including World War II cryptographers and even AI algorithms, have tried to solve it. None have succeeded. What keeps the mystery alive is consistency. The text follows linguistic rules, suggesting it encodes something meaningful rather than nonsense. Yet its author, purpose, and audience remain lost to history. Until the Voynich script is cracked, this manuscript will continue to stand as one of the most baffling puzzles of the Middle Ages. The Indus script, the Indus Valley civilization, flourishing from 2600 to 1900 BCE across modern-day Pakistan and northwest India, built sprawling cities like Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. On seals, tablets, and pottery, archaeologists have found a system of about 400 unique signs, the mysterious Indus script. To this day, it remains undeciphered. Unlike Egyptian hieroglyphs or Mesopotamian cuneiform, the Indus script has no bilingual Rosetta Stone to help decode it. The inscriptions are short, rarely more than 5 symbols, making it difficult to determine if it's a full language or a symbolic system for trade and ritual. Scholars disagree whether it records speech or represents non-linguistic symbols. What's clear is that the Indus people were highly organized, with advanced urban planning, sewage systems, and long-distance trade. Yet their written words remain silent. If one day scholars unlock the Indus script, it could reveal the beliefs, laws, and daily lives of one of the world's first great civilizations. For now, their voices are locked in undeciphered symbols. The Phaistos disc. Unearthed in 1908 on the island of Crete, the Phaistos disc is a clay object dated to around 1700 BCE during the Minoan civilization. Both sides are covered in spirals of stamped symbols, 45 unique signs repeated in sequences. It's one of the earliest known examples of movable type, yet its meaning has never been deciphered. Some signs appear recognizable, figures of men, animals, plants, and tools, but no one knows whether they represent syllables, words, or ideas. The disc may be a hymn, a ritual text, or even a game, but scholars remain divided. No other artifact like it has ever been found, which makes decoding nearly impossible. Over a century later, the Phaistos disc still stands as one of archaeology's most perplexing puzzles. Was it a sacred object, a legal decree, or a simple record? Linear A. Before the Mycenaeans adapted Linear B to record Greek, the Minoans used another script. Linear A, dated between 1800 and 1450 BCE. Found on clay tablets and religious offerings, Linear A contains hundreds of symbols that clearly form a writing system. Yet after more than a century of study, it remains undeciphered. Unlike Linear B, which was cracked in the 1950s as an early form of Greek, Linear A doesn't match any known language family. Attempts to link it to Semitic, Indo-European, or Anatolian languages have all failed. Scholars can identify numbers and some economic records, but the language behind the symbols is lost. What makes Linear A so enduring is its silence. It was the script of a powerful and artistic civilization that dominated the Aegean before Greece as we know it existed. If ever deciphered, Linear A could completely rewrite our understanding of Minoan religion, politics, and trade networks. For now, it's a code no one can crack. Rongo Rongo of Easter Island. On remote Rapa Nui, better known as Easter Island, wooden tablets inscribed with mysterious glyphs called Rongo Rongo were discovered in the 19th century. The script, first noted after 1864, consists of stylized human, animal, and geometric forms, written in a unique, reverse boustrophodon style, read alternating left to right and right to left. The big mystery is whether Rongo Rongo is a full writing system or a proto-script. No one has successfully deciphered it, and only about 24 authentic tablets survive today. Tragically, many were destroyed by missionaries or lost after European contact, leaving too few examples to crack the code. Some scholars think Rongo recorded genealogies, myths, or rituals. Others suggest it was primarily mnemonic, used as memory aids rather than true writing. Without a bilingual text or more surviving tablets, the voices of Rapa Nui's ancestors remain locked in symbols that resist translation. The Roman dodecahedra. Across Europe, archaeologists have unearthed over 130 mysterious bronze objects. 12-sided hollow dodecahedra dating to the 2nd and 3rd centuries CE. Each has circular holes of varying sizes on its faces with knobs at the corners. Strangely, no ancient texts mention them, leaving their purpose completely unknown. Theories abound. They could have been candlestick holders, dice, measuring tools for surveying or knitting gloves, or even ritual objects. Recent 3D reconstruction suggests they may have functioned as precise instruments for gauging distances or calibrating Roman artillery. Yet, without written evidence, all remains speculation. What's clear is that the Roman dodecahedra weren't everyday objects. They are rare, finely made, and found mostly in northern provinces, not Rome itself. Were they practical tools, luxury items, or mystical symbols? The fact that one of Rome's most advanced civilizations left no clue makes the dodecahedra one of archaeology's strangest puzzles. Göbekli Tepe. High on a hill in southeastern Turkey lies Göbekli Tepe, dated to around 9,600 BCE, over 7,000 years before the pyramids. Built by hunter-gatherers, it features towering T-shaped limestone pillars, some up to 6 meters tall, arranged in massive circular enclosures carved with animals and abstract symbols. The real shock is its age. Archaeologists once believed that organized religion and monumental architecture came only after farming, but Göbekli Tepe proves that long before cities or crops, humans gathered to build vast ritual sites. How a nomadic society organized the labor and engineering to create such structures remains unclear. No evidence of permanent settlement exists nearby, suggesting this was a ceremonial center, perhaps the world's first temple. Yet why it was suddenly buried around 8000 BCE remains a mystery. The Moai movement of Easter Island. On Rapa Nui, over 800 giant stone statues, known as Moai, were carved between 1100 and 1600 CE. Some stand over 10 meters tall and weigh up to 82 tons. The mystery isn't just why they were built to honor ancestors, but how these massive figures were transported across the island without wheels or draft animals. Early theories suggested they were hauled on sledges or log rollers, which would have strained the island's limited resources. More recent experiments have shown that small teams can walk replicas upright by rocking them side to side with ropes. This method matches oral traditions claiming the Moai walked into place. Yet, no single theory explains all cases. Some statues lie unfinished in quarries, while others broke during transport. The Moai remain symbols of ingenuity and cultural resilience, but the exact logistics of how an isolated community moved such colossal icons across rugged terrain still spark debate today. The classic Maya collapse. The classic Maya civilization, flourishing from 250 to 900 CE, created towering pyramids, advanced calendars, and intricate writing. But between 800 and 900 CE, many great cities like Tikal, Copan, and Palenque were suddenly abandoned. The population plummeted and Maya civilization fragmented. What caused this collapse? Scholars point to a combination of factors. Climate data shows prolonged megadroughts in the 9th century, while archaeological evidence reveals intensifying warfare, resource depletion, and social unrest. The stress of sustaining huge populations in fragile tropical ecosystems may have pushed the Maya past a tipping point. Yet not all cities fell at once. Northern centers like Chichen Itza thrived for centuries more. The collapse wasn't the end of the Maya, but a profound transformation. Still, the exact trigger, whether drought, war, disease, or politics, remains one of archaeology's greatest debates. The Sea Peoples. Around 1200 BCE, the Bronze Age world fell into chaos. Great empires like the Hittites collapsed, Egyptian power waned, and dozens of cities were burned. Ancient inscriptions blame mysterious raiders known as the Sea Peoples. But who were they? Egyptian records, including the inscriptions of Pharaoh Ramses III at Medinet Habu, describe invasions by coalitions of seaborne warriors. Some scholars think they were displaced groups from the Aegean, Anatolia, or Cyprus. Migrants turned marauders as famine and climate change spread. Others argue they were mercenaries or confederations of multiple peoples. Despite centuries of study, the true origins of the Sea Peoples remain unknown. What is clear is that their arrival marked the end of the Late Bronze Age, ushering in centuries of upheaval. The mystery of who they were and why they struck with such force remains unsolved. Cleopatra's lost tomb. Cleopatra VII, the last queen of Egypt, died in 30 BCE alongside her lover Mark Antony after Octavian's victory. Ancient writers said they were buried together in a grand tomb, but despite centuries of searching, no one has ever found it. Most assume it lies somewhere in Alexandria, but the city has been partly submerged by earthquakes and tsunamis, complicating the search. Others suggest it may lie at Taposiris Magna, a temple complex west of Alexandria, where excavations have revealed Ptolemaic-era burials and artifacts linked to royal cults. Until her tomb is discovered, the final resting place of one of history's most famous rulers remains a mystery. Was Cleopatra buried with regal splendor as ancient sources suggest? Or was her body lost to the turmoil of conquest? The queen who captivated Rome continues to guard her greatest secret. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Listed by ancient writers as one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon are said to have been built around the 6th century BCE under King Nebuchadnezzar II. Descriptions speak of lush terraces filled with exotic trees and cascading water, an oasis in the desert. Yet the most puzzling fact is this: archaeologists have never found definitive evidence that they actually existed. Some historians argue the gardens may have been located not in Babylon, but in Nineveh, capital of the Assyrian Empire, where King Sennacherib engineered elaborate aqueducts and waterworks. Others suggest the gardens were a literary creation, an exaggerated legend passed down by Greek and Roman writers. Without physical remains, the debate continues. If they did exist, the gardens would have required revolutionary irrigation technology to lift water from the Euphrates River to towering heights, an engineering marvel for its time. Until archaeologists uncover proof, the Hanging Gardens remain caught between history and myth, a wonder we know only through words, not stones. Teotihuacan's fall. Teotihuacan, in central Mexico, was once the largest city in the Americas. At its peak around 450 CE, it housed over 100,000 people and boasted monumental structures like the Pyramid of the Sun and Pyramid of the Moon. But by the 7th to 8th centuries CE, much of the city was burned, abandoned, and left in ruins. The cause of its sudden collapse remains a mystery. Excavations show evidence of deliberate destruction. Elite compounds were torched and temples vandalized, suggesting internal rebellion. Yet climate studies also point to decades of drought, while others argue that overpopulation and strained resources may have triggered a social breakdown. Foreign invasions are another possibility, though evidence is scarce. What's certain is that Teotihuacan's fall reshaped Mesoamerica. Later cultures, including the Aztecs, revered the ruins as the city of the gods. But who destroyed it, and why such a great civilization disintegrated, remains one of archaeology's enduring enigmas. The origins of the Etruscans. Before Rome rose to dominate Italy, the mysterious Etruscans thrived between the 8th and 3rd centuries BCE. Their culture produced advanced metallurgy, elaborate tombs, and unique religious practices. But where the Etruscans came from has puzzled historians for centuries. Ancient writers offered conflicting accounts. Herodotus claimed they migrated from Anatolia, while Dionysius of Halicarnassus insisted they were indigenous to Italy. Modern genetics adds complexity. Recent DNA studies suggest strong continuity with Neolithic Italians, but with some input from the Near East. The exact blend of origins remains debated. What deepens the mystery is their language. Etruscan inscriptions survive, but the tongue isn't Indo-European and only partly understood. Rome inherited much from them: religion, architecture, even political symbols. Yet the people who shaped early Italy are still half hidden behind an undeciphered language and uncertain beginnings. The Mausoleum of Qin Shi Huang. In 210 BCE, China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, was buried in a vast mausoleum guarded by the world-famous terracotta army, over 8,000 life-sized soldiers, horses, and chariots. But the central tomb chamber, described by ancient historian Sima Qian, has never been opened. According to his account, the chamber contained palaces, models of rivers and seas made of flowing liquid mercury, and ceilings painted with stars. Modern soil tests around the mound at Xi'an reveal abnormally high mercury levels, lending credibility to the ancient text. Yet, Chinese authorities have resisted excavation, fearing irreparable damage to artifacts. This leaves one of history's greatest treasures sealed underground. Is it truly filled with rivers of mercury and untold riches, or have centuries of erosion destroyed its secrets? Until technology advances, the emperor's tomb remains one of the last unopened wonders of the ancient world. The Yonaguni Monument. Off the coast of Yonaguni, Japan, divers in 1986 discovered a massive underwater rock formation resembling terraces, steps, and platforms. Some argue it is a 12,000-year-old man-made structure, possibly evidence of a lost civilization predating known history. Others insist it is a natural geological formation shaped by currents and earthquakes. The largest structure measures about 150 meters long and 25 meters high, with sharp angles and flat surfaces that resemble staircases and plazas. Proponents of the man-made theory claim it could have been a ceremonial site or even part of a sunken city. Critics counter that sandstone naturally fractures into straight lines, creating the illusion of design. To this day, no consensus exists. If natural, the Yonaguni Monument is a remarkable quirk of geology. If man-made, it could rewrite human history by pushing advanced architecture back thousands of years. Until conclusive evidence surfaces, the Yonaguni Monument straddles the line between natural wonder and lost civilization. Sanqingdui Civilization. In 1986, farmers in China's Sichuan province unearthed a cache of strange bronze masks and statues at Sanqingdui, dating back to around 1200 BCE. Unlike anything seen in Chinese art, the figures had exaggerated eyes, huge ears, and abstract designs, suggesting a culture with beliefs and rituals distinct from the Shang dynasty. Excavations revealed massive pits filled with broken artifacts, including ivory tusks, jade objects, and gold masks, deliberately buried for reasons unknown. No written records survive from Sanqingdui, leaving archaeologists unsure of their language, myths, or why their society disappeared around 1000 BCE. Some believe environmental disaster forced their migration, while others suggest internal upheaval. What's certain is that Sanqingdui reveals an entire civilization lost to history, rediscovered only in fragments. The Nebra Sky Disk. Discovered in Germany in 1999, the Nebra Sky Disk dates back to around 1600 BCE and is considered the world's oldest known depiction of the cosmos. Made of bronze and inlaid with gold, it shows the sun, moon, and a cluster of stars, likely the Pleiades, along with arcs that may mark solstices. But its purpose remains debated. Was it a ritual object, a calendar, or a tool for aligning agriculture with celestial cycles? Later modifications suggest it was updated over centuries, possibly by different generations. Its sophistication challenges the idea that prehistoric Europeans had only rudimentary astronomical knowledge. The disk proves Bronze Age societies were observing and recording the heavens with remarkable accuracy, yet the exact beliefs, rituals, and knowledge systems tied to it remain unknown. Was it science, religion, or both? The Nebra Sky Disk straddles the line between artifact and ancient mystery. Nabta Playa. Deep in Egypt's Nubian desert lies Nabta Playa, a prehistoric site dating to around 5000 to 4000 BCE. Here, Neolithic people erected stone circles and alignments that may represent one of the earliest known astronomical observatories, 2,000 years older than Stonehenge. Some stones appear aligned with the summer solstice sunrise and certain star constellations, suggesting that desert herders used the site to track seasons, rainfall, and migrations. Others see ritual significance, with evidence of ceremonial burials and offerings. The dual role of astronomy and religion remains unresolved. Nabta Playa shows that long before the pyramids, early Africans were organizing complex ceremonial spaces and watching the skies with purpose. Whether it was a calendar for survival or a shrine to cosmic forces, it stands as one of the oldest enigmas of human civilization. Sacsayhuaman. Overlooking Cusco in Peru, the Inca fortress of Sacsayhuaman was built in the 15th century with walls of massive stone blocks, some weighing over 100 tons. These blocks were cut and fitted so precisely that not even a knife blade can fit between them. The engineering skill remains one of the great mysteries of Inca architecture. The stones were quarried miles away and somehow transported across steep terrain without wheels or draft animals. Ramps, ropes, and manpower are the leading theories, but the logistics of moving and fitting such megaliths with near-perfect joins are still debated. While we know Sacsayhuaman was both a military stronghold and a ceremonial site, the exact techniques of its construction are lost. The precision and durability of its walls remain unmatched, leaving scholars in awe of the Incas' ingenuity and fueling speculation about technologies they may have possessed. If you enjoyed this video, I'm going to be posting a lot more interesting videos on the channel. I'd greatly appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. Thank you very much.